Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got the first ever Elestrals Clash deck profile on this channel, as well as maybe one of the first on YouTube. As just about, I want to say maybe the neighborhood of 6 hours ago at the time of recording, the Elestrals Clash beta went live. Do note that this is the beta, so if you see any weirdness in the game, that will be the result of that. There's also some things that I kind of missed while playing. If I happen to see those, I'll point those out. But we're going to be on Earth. So our deck list I put on the left here. We are on 3 Altar Stars, 3 Ambrosia, 3 Astrabbit, 3 Demeter, 3 Elechic, 3 Equilinx, 1 Feloi Forest, 2 Moss Station, 2 Mudlet, 3 Poison Tipped Arrow, 1 Resting on Your Laurels, 3 Shield of Achilles, 3 Viscerous, 3 Earthquake, and then 3 Gorgon's Gaze. We are taking the first turn here, leading with the Astrabbit and then setting before passing. Our hand's looking pretty good. We've got the Elechic, I almost said Equilinx Demeter combo here. So again, this is the beta, therefore it is a different card pool and ban list from the game itself. This is also not music from the game, by the way. This is just various forest music from other video games that I'm putting in post. My next video, I'm going to try to get some live gameplay and with music from the game. Apologies, that is not the case in this video. Also, if you want to see me put the deck list in a different spot or don't like it at all, definitely feel free to let me know. I'm definitely also in the beta of making this style of video here as well. But our opponent is on a Wind Nexus deck, and they are going to be casting the Aeolus here, which is going to allow them to search a 1-Spirit Wind Elestral from their deck. I believe they only end up putting 2 Wind Spirits on it, so it is going to go to the Underworld after this activation. But yeah, so Elestrals Clash Beta is here, which is really, really cool. I have been messing around with it for a couple of hours before recording this video. I got the email while I was at work, and then after a little bit after I got home, I started diving into it. I did all the tutorials to make sure I understood everything, but like I said, there were some things that I just personally misunderstood about the beta. Poison Tipped Arrow is one of them. I thought for my first few games that Poison Tipped Arrow wasn't working correctly, but it turns out I was misunderstanding the end phase trigger. On the left side of the screen, a little number 1 will show up, and that's where you do end phase triggers. So anyway, our opponent's going into a Sorlet here, and they are going to attempt to use that in order to change the position of my Astrabbit and then be able to battle it. I think I have, is it a Shield of Achilles? I actually don't remember what exactly I set there, but there we go. Astrabbit is now in attack position. Opponent's going to set a card. And if we are indeed on Shield of Achilles, we're looking pretty good here. Set 2 cards. Makes me a little bit anxious, but should be fine here. And yep, looks like it is Shield of Achilles. So, yeah, like I said before, different card pool, different restriction lists. Actually, I don't believe there is any restrictions on the card pool in the Elestrals beta. So that's why this deck looks a lot different than an Earth deck you might see in the physical card game. But again, of course, the game is in beta, so it is definitely going to be like its own kind of thing. But it's there's still a lot of options. Like even from the latest Moonrise set, there are a few cards from there too. So it's not like, you know, we're all just, I mean, clearly it's Earth versus Wind here, and I've seen people on Fire, I've seen 5s, Thunder is definitely a thing. I have Thunder built, I just haven't played with it yet. I'm going to play experiment with a lot of different decks, actually. So we got Demeter coming down here, and in this kind of a situation, I'll put, I think, a total of 3 spirits on her. So the 1 initially used to cast, and then 2 additional ones. On Divine Runes, you can put on most of them, you know, up to 4 runes. I typically go for 3, but sometimes I might go for a little bit more or less. I mean, it just kind of depends, right? If it's later in the game, it's like my 2nd or 3rd copy, it'll probably only be 2 if I'm low on spirits in deck. But there are some game states where I'll put 4 on because I know I can get, like, maximum use out, right? I actually probably should have just put 4 on this Demeter here, since I was immediately following up with Equilynx. I think that might have actually been the better play, but it's all good. We're going to activate the Equilynx ability. So, yeah, the way to get to like activate cards' abilities is to hover over them, and the little icon will appear, and then you can drag the cursor down. That took me a minute to figure out, but I think that was more of a me issue than the game issue. So, speaking of a me issue, I am trying to figure out how to Nexus here, but all I had to do was click on the Demeter. I was just making it harder than I needed to. We're moving the Spirit over, and then we can use the ability targeting the back row. I think I targeted the first back row they set, which we'll take a look here in the opponent's underworld was PTA, Poison Tipped Arrow. Alright, moving into battle. You gotta attack the Spirit deck itself, so that little number there is how many spirits your opponent has left. And of course, the same is true on our side as well. Our opponent's going to Tsunami here, which is a little annoying, but really not that big of a deal. Especially considering we have Astrabbit that just wants to go into defense mode anyway, so... But of course, we would have rather just dealt damage with it. Our face down card, I believe, is Altar of Stars? Or was it? I should be paying more attention. I think we drew it for turn, then immediately said it. Okay, it's Gorgon's Gaze. There it is right there. Okay. So another thing, this is a quality of life tip for other people playing the beta. The way I like to play it to make sure I'm not missing my activation triggers is I'll stay on auto for my turn, and then I'll switch to on for the opponent's turn. That is another mistake that I have made while playing the beta. I thought that maybe the game was causing me to miss triggers, but it was actually being on auto instead of on. So that is definitely something that you want to make sure. Again, and this is typically what I do in other card games as well, digital card games. My recommendation is to be on auto during your turn so you don't get a million activation prompts, and on during your opponent's turn to make sure that you can activate cards specifically when you need to. Like this Swordlet here, if it ends up using its ability for some reason, I don't think it would, but if it wants to try to get rid of the Astrabbit, I could use the Gorgon's Gaze in response and after they've expended the Spirit. But here I'll use it when they attack. Now you want to use Gorgon's Gaze in the attack step in order to stop the attack. Same with Altar of Stars to be able to change the battle position. This is a rules thing, not specifically a clash thing. Because in the battle step, the attack is locked in. The attack is already been declared and position cannot be changed, if I recall correctly. Hopefully I'm not misspeaking about that, but the attack step is where you can do things like Gorgons to stop the attack or Altar of Stars in order to change the position. So speaking of Altar, there it is. Managed to top deck it here. I'm going to lead with the Equilynx ability. We will Nexus the extra spirit that is on the Equilynx back onto the Demeter. That's what I like to do if possible. Yes, having more spirits on your Elestrals does let them do more damage, but having them on the Demeter will offer you more flexibility in terms of nexusing, casting, and of course using the Demeter ability. So, going to use the Equilynx ability to destroy another one of the opponent's face-down cards. Looks like they're thinking here, might be considering whether or not they want to respond with it. Let's see what they end up doing. If it's a card they could respond with, it would probably be something like Gorgon's Gaze, which I can understand them maybe wanting... I don't know, if you have Gorgon's Gaze, maybe you do it while the Link still has a Spirit, so that has 2. I don't know, but it turned out to be a bluff Cryoblast, so... It's interesting, yeah, in this format, because Cryoblast is available, but Earthquake and Resting on Your Laurels are both at 3. So, I don't think Cryoblast is necessary for every single, like, as necessary as it is in paper play, like for as many decks as it is, but I don't know, there is, I guess, a justification to only wanting to spend 1 Frost as opposed to 2 Earth, but we're on Earth anyway, so that doesn't matter. I suspect most decks would probably just want to play Earthquake, but I could understand wanting to play the Cryoblast potentially as well. Alright, we're waiting our opponent here. I decide not to turn... Oh, no, sorry, we're casting them off station here. I was trying to remember if I turned to the Astrabbit to attack mode or not. It's still in defense. I think we do turn it to attack mode here. That does seem generally correct. Well, yeah, especially because we have the Altar of Stars. Like, if we really need it to be in defense mode, we can do that, right? Like, there's kind of no drawback in that regard. We get to Ambro here as well, because we're starting to get a little bit low, like under half, you know, so we'll get back up to 12 is a pretty nice, comfortable number to sit at. It's so nice to play a card game where the zone position, like where you put your cards, doesn't actually end up mattering. But I am going to use Demeter's ability on the Equilinks, even though my Moss Station could take out the Sorlet here. The reason that I'm doing this is in case my opponent's face down card is a Shield of Achilles. And, you know, let's say I didn't use Demeter and I attacked with Moss Station, they shield, bounce Moss Station. Oops, now I can't battle over the Sorlet. But, yeah, using the Demeter ability there I think is worth it to hedge and just make sure the face down card doesn't wreck us. We're starting to get in a pretty favorable position here. Because our opponent's going to draw for turn to be up to 4 cards. We'll be on 5, so in terms of sheer card advantage, we'll be up. I mean 4 cards between hand and board on their part, and as opposed to the 5 on ours. Spirit count is even, and we have a lot more board presence, so... Yeah, so that little one right there, if you have a PTA end phase trigger, that's where it's going to be, right over here. And that's where my Moss Station trigger was right over there as well. So, that's where to find it. Again, I thought I was missing, or I thought the game was missing my PTA end phase triggers in previous games. But no, it was me. It was me the one missing it, so... Alright, so they're going to go for the Astrabbit in attack position, is interesting. Again, I like to toggle to on during my opponent's turn, so I'm going to get asked if I want to activate this altar a lot, but that's fine. Yeah, I guess they're planning on using the Astrabbits, of course, to battle over the Moss Station, which is one of the reasons why, well, I mean, obviously you just want to set altar anyway, but here we can use altar to turn the Moss Station to attack position. Oh, this is because I right-clicked, yeah. Now, I think, if I remember right, I think I misplay this altar and I break the rule that I was just talking about earlier. We'll get to that when we get to it, though. First, our opponent's going to use an Earthquake. I believe they end up using it on the Equilinks, which would make a lot of sense. Yep, they do. So there goes our links. So they're playing Earthquake and Cryoblast. I suppose that is an option you could do as well. Resting on your laurels is interesting in this format in particular because... I guess there are a decent number of decks on Divine Runes. I was going to say there's not a lot of situations where... Okay, so attack step, battle step. See how it went really quick there, but I actually clicked skip and then it went to battle step and now I'm clicking activate. And this is where my misplay was, because I thought I would still be able to switch the battle position of the Moss Station. However, unfortunately for me, that is not going to be the case. So again, I just want to point out that even though, yes, this game is in beta, that was not a game mistake. That was a human, that was a me mistake. I was the one who misplayed. Yeah, I thought that it's interesting because it still has me select it, but then it didn't change, and that's why I thought initially I was like, oh, was that a game mistake? And then I realized, no, that was a me mistake. But we're actually still not in a bad spot, though. Oh my god, especially with this top deck. I was going to say, we could have just attached a Thunder Spirit from the Spirit deck to our current Astrabbit, and then buffed it with Demeter to battle over. But drawing a second Astrabbit is even better here. We'll get to, of course, find a new card. Although our opponent, I think, is going to have a response here, if I remember right. It's a PTA. It's going to get activated here in a second. Mayhaps. We shall see. I love that both my opponent and I have the same board, by the way. This looks really good. That tends to be true of like every digital card game. When you and your opponent are on the same board, it's so good. But especially with like the Whirlpool here. Oh, I love it. So yeah, they did have a PTA. I'm definitely going to pick up this Shield of Achilles so that I have some protection going into this next turn here. We're, of course, going to put that face down. And so remember that the Astrabbit on the left has an Earth and a Thunder Spirit on it, because that's what I nexus to with the Altar of Stars. But then I was thinking about it with the Demeter buff, and I was like, you know, I should actually Demeter buff the PTA'd rabbit, because that'll get me another point of damage, right? If I just buffed the rabbit with 2 spirits, I'd battle over my opponent's Astrabbit, deal 1, and my 0 attack Astrabbit can't deal any damage. However, by doing it this way, now my 1 spirit Astrabbit can battle over their 1 spirit Astrabbit, and then I can swing directly for 2. So again, getting in an extra point of damage. And especially in a game state like this, I think it's really crucial, because that's going to really sit my opponent down to a significant amount of spirits lower than I am. They'll be at 6 to my 10. And we'll be even... No, I'll be down on cards, actually. I'll be down on cards, but I'll be up on spirits, because again, remember, I do have that extra Earth Spirit on the Astrabbit. Spirit count is actually something you have to kind of factor into advantage in Elestrals, which is one of the things that makes it pretty cool in terms of, like, game design stuff. Oh, that's right. So I don't think my opponent was able to figure out the end phase thing. Which again, that's not to say anything about them. Again, for my first few games, could not figure it out either. In fact, it was a combination of things. I asked some friends, and they told me, but I was like, I didn't even see that. And then, yeah, it's on the left there. I first noticed it myself when I had the Moss Station mandatory trigger end phase activated. So... they're going for an Ambrosia here. Ambrosia. And they're going to get back up to 8 spirits once they've got that down. It's still 2 cards, though, to my 3. It still puts me in a pretty decent advantage. And especially because it's a nice thing when you have Astrabbit out. Basically, you can do a little bit better than expending to draw. You can just attach to an Astrabbit, look at the top 3 and add 1, which is definitely better than drawing card, and then also be able to get in for damage. So here my opponent's going to play a Hydrake. Hydrake, I was not expecting that. Well, I don't know why I say I wasn't expecting that. It is a wind deck. Actually, I don't know why I said that at all. It's not even like Hydrake is a bad wind card. Hydrake is a perfectly fine wind card. It's a good wind card, even. But they're going to set a card before moving to battle. And thankfully, we did find that Shield of Achilles off the Astrabbit last turn. Generally, if I have a good amount of Elestrals, I try to go for a counter rune. And then if I have a lot of counter runes and only the Astrabbit, I'll try to find another Elestral. That's like how I use Astrabbit. Generally, again, of course, various 3 cards revealed and board states will tend to differ. But PTA is a not bad top deck here. Also, I should point out that my opponent's not expending to draw. They might not realize that's an option, I'm not sure. But we want to enchant to an Elestral here, so we're going to do that. Oh, the reason I'm not able to right now is, again, not a game thing, but a me thing. It's because my toggle is Selecta on from my opponent's turn, and I need to pass response in order to continue play. Yep, so there I realize I go to auto, pass response, then now I'm able to attach. See, again, not a beta problem, it's a me problem. I wanna definitely make sure to point that out every time, because, again, while the game is in beta, that does not exempt it from human error. And I don't want to be like, grr beta, when it's actually like, grr Hexlex. So... I'm going to find an Elechick here. That's going to be pretty big for next turn, because if my opponent plays an Elestral that one of these rabbits can't get over, then Elechick plus Demeter will certainly be able to. Although we do have the PTA, so I am feeling pretty good overall. So here, let's see. We're going to hit them. They're at 7. They're going to go down to 5 and then 3 with the rabbit. So we're at 7. We got PTA. We got Elechick. Again, I'm feeling pretty good about our position here. At this point, we are going to pass back over to our opponent. Oh, here I was looking for a battle log because I wanted to read Hydrake. I couldn't remember if it's special cast or special ascend. Although to be fair, it has to be destroyed in battle. Well, I misremembered Hydrake because I thought I thought it was when Hydrake destroyed something in battle, it ascended. But no, when Hydrake itself is destroyed in battle, it special casts. And I was like, oh no! But then I totally forgot about the fact that because my rabbits have 2 spirits, when they go to crash the Hydrake, they're going to lose a spirit, right? And then now they can't cast Twindra because they only have 1 card left in their spirit deck. Oh, rip opponent. I didn't even realize that was going to happen, honestly. But even if they'd cast Twindra and been at 1 or 0 spirits, we could have still just, Elechick for Demeter and crash and then swing with the rabbit for a game. So, unfortunately, that's gonna be it from this game here. But we actually managed to match up against the same player. As soon as we click there we go. Yeah, we actually managed to match up against the same player, the same Win Nexus player. So, get to go into game 2 here, which is cool. Going first, this is a very good hand. I will definitely keep. Got the rabbit, got Shield of Achilles, Elechick for Demeter. It's going to happen at some point. And then, of course, we have the Moss Station as well, leading with the rabbit. Excuse me. And Rabbit finds quite a few things here. Demeter we don't need because we have Elechick in hand. I'm going to take it's between the Equilinx and Gorgon's Gaze here. But I think I end up, taking the Equilinx because I already have Shield of Achilles to protect my cards. I don't necessarily super need Gorgon's Gaze here. And we have Altar of Stars to potentially help as well. Excuse me. So, yeah, we definitely, again, don't take Demeter there ever because we already have Elechick in hand. But you could make an argument for Gorgon's Gaze as having like higher, like that would be the safe player, right? Although I don't think that there's much risk in taking Equilinx here. Again, because we have shield. They're going for Toxiswarm is what they're leading with this time. Toxiswarm is going to burn us for 1, but that's not that big of a deal, especially early game. More importantly, its 4 attack means that it cannot battle over our 5 defense Astrabbit. One of the things that's crazy about this card, and why I think Astrabbit really needs to go to 1, if not 0. But I understand Astrabbit is also like kind of the game's mascot, so I could see them not wanting to ban it, like Firewall Dragon Syndrome from Yu-Gi-Oh! But we'll see. Anyway. Alright, going into our turn here, we're going to switch back to auto, and now here I have some options, because I could out the Toxiswarm with either Mudlet or Moss Station, but I think the play here is to just go Equilinx Demeter, and it might seem like a bit of a waste of a Demeter activation to buff the Equilinx, or I mean, not the Equilinx, the Elechick, rather, to battle over the Toxiswarm, but I actually don't believe that that's the case. I think that's a little bit better than doing something like Mudlet here. Like, Mudlet might just seem like a good play here, and it wouldn't be a bad one, but I want to develop this Equilinx, and Elechick into Demeter not only lets me get rid of my opponent's Toxiswarm, but then still develop the Equilinx with the, Nexus target for the next turn. And the other thing, too, is, like, if Elechick eats, like, a Shield of Achilles here, or, like, a Gorgon's Gaze, that's completely fine. I mean, if they had a Gorgon's Gaze, they would have used it already to not let me add Demeter. But if I eat, like, a Battle Trap here, or the Counter Rune, rather, to not have another Elestral have to deal with it, that is completely fine. Because Elechick has already added Demeter. Elechick has already done its job, as far as I'm concerned. I probably should have put 3 spirits on this Demeter. I think I only put 2 on. Since I am using it this turn, and I'm also going to definitely use it with Equilinx next turn, I think, having an extra spirit would have been good for it here. So we're going to battle the Elechick into the Toxiswarm. And let's see what happens here. Opponent's going to activate Tsunami. Yeah, this is so, unbelievably fine. It's extra nice here because, unlike Shield of Achilles, which would have bounced the Elchick, the Tsunami, if I could talk, actually just leaves it on the field, so now it eats the Toxiswarm's attack. Granted, Toxiswarm can't battle over Astrabbit anyway, so that's a moot point here, but it's why Elchick got limited this card. It's really, really good. 4 attack and being able to search Divine Runes is just absolutely insane. Alright, let's see if they cast any other Elestral here. I don't think they do, and again, I think my opponent does not expend a draw yet again. They might not realize that's an option. That's true of paper play, too. I've played a good number of webcam games where after the game, I ended up telling my opponent, like, there was, like, 2 turns you could have expended a draw. And they were like, no, I forgot. And I'm like, well, that happened to me when I first started playing, too. I always forgot that that was an option. But yeah, here we can Altar of Stars. This time I correctly activate it during the attack step, not the battle step. So that means that I am able to change the position of the Elchick. I'm going to Nexus the Spirit onto Astrabbit, so that way the Spirit doesn't get lost here. But yeah, we'll change the Elchick to attack mode. And now instead of having a clean attack, the Toxiswarm is actually going to end up crashing into it. And that is going to open up the board state quite well for me. Yeah, so now we're all good to go on the next turn here. We even find another Altar of Stars. It's so good. Altar of Stars is such a good card in Earth Nexus. It's unbelievable. Yeah, now we can go for the Echo Links, and we can start popping back rows. Going to not waste any time activating the Echo Links ability. Also, definitely understandable why this card got limited. I'm actually going to Nexus the Earth Spirit that's on my Rabbit back onto the Demeter. Again, you might think, wouldn't you want to keep it on the Elestrals in order to deal more damage? And again, I don't think that's a horrible idea, but I'm still just worried about like a Shield of Achilles or something. It was Bluff Cryoblast again. But honestly, I don't mind destroying something like a Bluff Cryoblast, because that means like it won't destroy this like Moss Station later that's in my hand, for example, right? Yeah, this time I'll definitely switch the Rabbit to attack mode, because we have the Altar face down and our opponent's on an open board, so no reason not to. Alright, knocking him down to 15. I mean, we're at 12. We've definitely invested a good bit to get into this position, but I mean, that's just the nature of the game, right? You are going to need to play Spirits in order to get ahead. So even if you're behind in Spirits, being ahead on board in certain positions is just more important anyway, especially when the Spirit count is still relatively high relative to your total, right? Like, yeah, I'm down by 4, but it's 16 to 12. Like, that's completely fine. Let's see. Oh yeah, they just passed. Yeah, woof. They definitely should have expended a draw. Oh, buddy. Here we top deck Viscerus, which is pretty good. Even though my opponent doesn't have an Elestral on board. It's nice because the Moss Station would have turned itself to defense mode, which would have been manageable with the Altar, but still a little annoying. And the Mudlet would have been just obviously not useful for its ability here, so definitely do not mind the Viscerus here. So I decided to put onto the Rabbit here because I figured, okay, my opponent's already got 2... Like, I want to make the decision of what to destroy here if they have, like, an Earthquake difficult, right? Because there's an argument for destroying my Equilink so that their back row is spared. There's an argument to destroying Viscerus so that way I don't snowball with it on the next turn. And then now there would be an argument to also do the Astrabbit. But looks like that's going to be the end of the game. So thanks so much for watching. Super appreciate you. Definitely make sure to sub if you want to see more Elestrals Clash content. That's going to be all for now. This is Hexlex. I am signing out. And also hoping that you have a fantastic day.